Alright folks, welcome back. This is a little wrap-up video for the 2016 edition of the Top 100. Not a big deal. Very stripped down. I'm not going to even be putting any pictures. I'll probably be drinking during this at this time. But I just want to put together a little thing with my closing thoughts. Some interesting stats about the list that maybe you're interested in. And just some general thoughts in general. I'm just rambling. Really, I just want to rap with y'all if you're here. I want to know how things are with you. How are things at home? Mom and dad still treating you okay? Is a creepy uncle still touching you inappropriately? All these different types of things. This is your chance to tell me about them in confidence, and I'll notify the authorities if I need to. But I'll also tell you about the stats from my list. So, let's move on. Yes, hold on a sec. Because I've just been talking for an hour or two straight. My throat is parched. So, let's talk first about the games that were knocked off of the list, which some of you may have noticed, some of you may not if you've been around for a while. So, starting, I've got a mixture of things here. But we have, let's see, where should we start? Okay, Lost Legacy was knocked off the list. That is the advanced version of Love Letter, essentially. It was my number 100 last year. I just haven't played it at all. I really favor Love Letter. I think I mentioned that last year. And it was just a matter of time. I've even got like a Japanese version of the game that has like 6 or 7 different decks in it, all different. But I don't have the English versions of it, so I don't even bother. Someone's got the translations, I just don't even feel like it. Then my number 99 was Flick 'em Up, which is very funny because one of the people that I used a comment from both last... I see him on Board Game Week all the time, and he has... he commented on... He had a negative comment for one of my entries last year and this year, Perfect Square. He commented on the segment of the list, the 91 to 100 last year, and said, Nick, I guarantee you... that will not, Flick 'em Up will not be on your list next year. And I just made some snarky offhanded comment to him. And sure enough, he was right. And I don't know. I like the game. It's a lot of fun. I hated setting it up. And ultimately, I was like, well, do I want to play a flicking game where I'm more likely to get frustrated than just have fun? I don't mind losing, but I'd rather lose, I guess. It sounds really hoity-toity. I'd rather lose intellectually, like my strategy got beat, than just because I couldn't flick the thing enough. So that's gone. My number 98 last year, which got knocked off the list, was King of Tokyo / King of New York. I still like the game. I bought an expansion for it, but it's just not like on the forefront of my mind. It's really just a game like, let's play King of Tokyo because people can understand it. It's not like the end-all, be-all. So that's gone. Then my number 6 last year, my number 97 last year was Lost Legends. I keep saying it, that game needs an expansion badly, and without it, I've already plumbed the depths of it. I have no interest in it, and I'm probably going to get rid of it because I think it's a dead game. If they announced tomorrow it was going to get an expansion, I would completely reinvigorate my interest in it. My number 96 was Shinobi Wata. I still like that little game. It's a very simple set collection game that has an extra element of like a little worker placement thing to it with cool artwork, but no one ever wants to play it. People hate set collections. It's a very weird thing. My number 95 was Treasure Hunter, which I still have. It's actually been kind of a hit in my group. Several people have played it in the last year. This is from Richard Garfield. It's a drafting game with more. And I like it quite a bit. But, a game that came on that was brand new to the list last year and was still that low, it's just going to fluctuate off the list. Oh, number 92, which was Dominion, which, honestly, if I have Tondo Core on the list, I don't need Dominion. But Dominion is a fine game. I think I was more into it last year because some new expansion came out that was really good. Number 91 was Zombie 15. That's still a great game, but honestly, I prefer it solo. I don't have a lot of time for solo games lately. And also, the gimmick of a timer game does wear off after a while. Let's just move this over here. My number 89 was Bang the Dice game. This is still a great filler game for me, but it is so nothing. Like, it's so random and so kind of meaningless that it's a fun little activity. This actually is an activity, but one that I'm not like, I'll try a new strategy this time. This doesn't happen. Even Love Letter has some decision making. My number 88 was Champions of Midgard. It was brand new to the list last year, and I don't know, it's fine, but that one also, you could get killed by the dice, and I just lost interest of it. And it was brand new and just fresh in my mind last year. Number 87 was Animals Frightening Night, which is a very good game, and it didn't fall off for any particular reason. I'd play it again right now if I could. My number 84 was Cthulhu Realms, which I felt was a superior version. I still feel it's a superior version of Star Realms, but neither of them were like overly fantastic games. And there's so many other great deck building games out there that other deck builders crowded that out of my mind frame. But there's a new one called Hero Realms. Maybe that's good. I've had it sitting here for 2 months and I haven't played it. My number 83 last year was Yido. Still have that on my shelf somewhere back there, maybe above my head actually. And that's a great worker placement game, a very vicious worker placement game, but I just haven't played it in a long time, so it didn't really feel like it was appropriate to put it on the list. Number 82 was Dungeon Guild / Mighty Monsters. I just played the Mighty Monsters version of it, and it's fine. I actually prefer the little Dungeon Guilds version because it's simpler, it's lighter, and I like the little chibi artwork better. But they're good games. I just don't have there's so many better quick filler games out there, which is kind of the role that fills, that has kind of faded to the background. My number 72 was Trains, which just kept falling year after year. I like Trains a lot, but maybe the idea of the spatial element with the building the train tracks and that, while good, maybe it was a little bit too much. I think I just prefer something a little bit more straightforward with my deck building games. Yes, I know Legendary has a lot of setup, but then when you get down to it, it's just like boom, 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 boom. And Trains was always a big pain in the ass. My number 71 was Tragedy Looper. Tragedy Looper, I love it as an innovative game. Actually sitting down to play it is such a pain in the ass, especially to teach it to new players. And then if I don't play it for a while, I forget things in the game, that it's hard to keep it in the forefront of my interest. But I still own it. I'll probably always keep it because when I do play it, it's great. My number 68 last year was Euphoria. I played a bad game of that in this past year. Maybe that peppered my interest in it into the dark side, but it's still a very good game. Stonemaier Games doesn't really put out bad games, just some are better than others. And I think Euphoria is starting to show its age a little bit. It's just not as great as it once was. My number 69 was... Oh, I skipped one. Yeah, 69 was Dice Masters. I fell out of love with that game hard. I started to hate the overwhelming amount of junk content coming out for it, and all of it was exactly the same, nothing innovative. The stupid way that they did their rares and super rares, and the way that they did the booster packs, and there's never any tournament scene around here. I might have even been willing to go to that, but there never was an active scene here. They did some shitty thing where you couldn't buy their products, some of their products online through Cool Stuff, and some of them you could. And I was just like, you really just don't want people not to buy the game, right? Like, you want to make it as difficult as possible. And it just turned me off from it completely. So I sold my entire collection. So that's gone. My number 65 was Mafia de Cuba last year. Very good game. Again, it was very fresh in my mind last year. I just think I've played a lot of better hidden trader negotiation games like Secret Hitler. My number 60 was Castle Dice. I haven't played that in a long time. That's why it's fallen off 40 spots. I mean, it was number 60 last year. I have a new expansion for it. Well, it's like a year old at this point, but I still haven't got around to playing it. My number 57 was Magic the Gathering Arena of the Planeswalkers. I still own it. It's still fun. It's Hero Scape 2.0. But I've had some bad games of it. They haven't really been putting out very many expansions for it. I think they're actually kind of abandoning it, which is kind of sad. And my number 41 last year, falling 59 spots off of the list, well, 60 spots off the list, is New Dawn. Now, New Dawn's a good game. It's suffered from a lack of people wanting to play it. I actually brought the game out to play and started explaining it to people, and they're like, I fell out of love with it a little bit, and frankly, I have no interest in supporting the American publisher of the game, which I'm not going to let completely ruin my opinion of a game, because the game is the game. But, I mean, it's one of many factors, so there's that. So some quick stats, let's run through them as quick as we can. Biggest drop off the list was New Dawn at number 41. If you want to count a game that's still on the list that dropped the furthest, Summoner Wars fell down from number 43 to number 88. The biggest rise on the list from completely from completely off the list was Orleans, which rose all the way up to number 11. If you want to count the biggest rise of a game that's currently on the list, it was Mansions of Madness, although it's kind of a cheat because it's the old edition, went from 75 to 16 for the new edition. There are 23 new games on the list. The newest game on the list was Joking Hazard, which just came out within the last 2 months. The oldest game on the list, again, if you count previous editions, was Cosmic Encounter, which I think is from the 70s. If you don't count previous editions, then Magic the Gathering, which came out in the 90s. But if you say that game is constantly getting new editions, then we will say Queen's Gambit, which was from I guess 99 or 2000, right? Whenever the Phantom Menace came out. Ugh. Let's not think about that. The publisher with the most games on the list is Fantasy Flight Games with 10, which is quite a lot. The designer with the most games on the list, because of that mostly, is Corey Kaniska. Now, that's kind of a cheat because Corey Kaniska is involved with the design of many of Fantasy Flight's, especially their bigger games. Sometimes he's lead designer, like with, I think, Battlestar Galactica. Sometimes he's just part-time or partial designer and developer. But because he's listed in the credits of so many of the games, I'm counting him. If you say that's a cheat, you don't want to count him, Antoine Bauza is the very close runner-up. Love that guy's games. The most expensive game on the list is, of course, Kingdom Death Monster. You might make an argument for Queen's Gambit because that's long out of print and hard to get and very expensive, but I think that even the core game of Kingdom Death compared to the core game of Queen's Gambit, I haven't looked lately, but I think you can still get Queen's Gambit for cheaper than Kingdom Death. If you just go by the retail prices or the retail price of Kingdom Death and the eBay price of Queen's Gambit. The cheapest game on the list is Love Letter. I mean, you can get that for a few bucks now. The biggest game on the list, this is where it flips. The biggest game on the list is Kingdom Death. The smallest game on the list, Love Letter. The game with the highest BGG average user rating is Kingdom Death Monster with 9.1. And again, well, I don't even think I mentioned that on the main list. Over 1,000 people voted that way. I mean, and they've locked in their ratings for a long time. They still talk about the game. It's not a fluke, I'm telling you. The game with the lowest BGG average user rating on my list was a tie. It was Cards Against Humanity and High Command, War Machine or Hordes, with a 6.3 for both. Cards Against Humanity, I mean, for both of them, it's because some people just hate those types of games. Some people hate what's going on in High Command because it's very complicated deck building and very swingy and back and forth. For Cards Against Humanity, some people hate that type of game, or they hate it for, political correctness reasons or religious reasons. The game with the highest BGG overall ranking was easy. Pandemic Legacy, which is number 1 on Board Game Geek. The game with the lowest BGG overall ranking was, and again, this is dependent upon the games just not being available. So, Justice League Hero Dice, Justice League Hero Dice, 4,572. The number of Kickstarter one more thing. Yeah, the number of games in the top 100 on Board Game Geek that are on my list, 29. So I guess what a hoax! I'm a fucking front runner this whole time. I've been like the outsider, but really I've just been loving all the games people love. God, I just lost all my credibility. Anyways, the number of Kickstarter funded games on the list were 17. I thought that was low actually, but that's interesting. The highest ranked Kickstarter game, Kingdom Death Monster. The number of deck building games on the list, 14. I actually would have thought more if you would have asked me. The highest ranked deck building game, my number 2 game, Legendary and Marvel deck building game. The number of Euro games on the list, I counted 28. That is all over the place because I don't even know what people constitute as a Euro game really anymore. I think that term is falling out of fashion. You could say in one regard it's kind of like was it a senator who had that quote about pornography? I can't tell you what pornography is, but I know it when I see it. That might be what the Euro game is to me right now, porno. But it might also be like I can't tell you what constitutes a Euro game, but I know it when I see it. But I counted 28 of what I would consider to be Euro games on my list, which is a lot, really. But that also means 72 of the games are not. The highest ranked Euro game, again, from what I think a Euro game would be, is Seasons. Now, yes, Seasons is a card drafting game. A lot of Euro games use card drafting like Agricola. It also has drafting dice, and I mean there are dice, but you're drafting them, and you're using resource management with the tokens. Hard to say. The number of cooperative games on the list, 20. The highest ranked cooperative game, again, Kingdom Death Monster. The number of party games, 9. The highest ranked party game, Secret Hitler. Party game is also very loose as to what defines that, but that's what I would say. Number of light filler games, 9. The highest ranked light filler game, this was a bit on the fence on this one, whether it be considered a filler game, but I use it as an end of the night game a lot, so I counted it. Hanabi, which is my number 31. The number of games featuring the following thematic tropes. This is fun. Zombies. I was surprised. Only 1. Dead of Winter, which is in my top 10. Number of Cthulhu games. 3, which was Eldritch Horror, Mansions of Madness, and I don't even know what the other one was. Eldritch Horror, Mansions of Madness, and I don't know. I can't remember because I should have made a note of it. Someone in the comments will remind me, I'm sure. Then, a number of games that featured Mars as a setting, which is a very popular theme now and a very popular trope. 0. Number of games that feature pirates has been very popular for a number of years. Lots of pirate games. 0. Number of games with Vikings. Vikings have been huge. So many Viking games in the past couple of years. 0. I'm very proud of those last 3 numbers because I find those themes to be abhorrent. The number of games based on licensed stuff, which is a weird way to say it, but essentially games based on other properties from other types of media. So books, movies, video games, so on and so forth. 6. The number of games on the list that are out of print. You can't get them. 6. The number of games on the list that I didn't actually review because I'm a lazy asshole. 18. The number of games on the list that feature anime-style artwork. Some people would probably say probably 60 to 70, right? 8. Kind of low. The game on the list with the highest concentration of penises and vaginas, either explicit or implied. Orleans. No. Kingdom Death Monster. The number of games on the list that offend sensitive and or religious people. 6. The number of games on the list that I've personally been mocked for enjoying. 24. And finally, the number of fucks I give about the last 2 stats. 0. Well, folks, that's it. We are officially done with the top 100 games list for 2016, rolling into 2017. It was a lot of work. It was a long journey to get here. It took a lot of time away from other things I wanted to do for the channel. But ultimately, because it's so much fun and because I think it's so useful for people, I'm happy to do it. Hopefully I'll get more reviews done in this coming year. It is a new year, by the way, so Happy New Year if I haven't said it already in one of my previous videos, for those of you watching it. And we'll look forward to next year or later this year when I do the list again. Thank you so much for all of your patience, and thank you for watching, and thank you for all of your support. Take care.